The more I look at the problem of belief, the more I am concerned that we cannot draw a one-to-one correlation between any specific belief or lack thereof and any behavioral or conceptual pattern. Belief does not dictate behavior. Belief does not dictate thought. Belief does not even dictate the way that we handle belief. So believe or don't believe. But in either, consider carefully. Don't believe because your parents taught you, or because your parents want you to have a particular belief. The paradox of parenthood is that a good parent must seek to, through making decisions for a child, prepare that child to make their own decisions. If you seek to win affection or approval from a parent, from a particular belief, know that this is impossible. If their affections are predicated entirely on accepting or rejecting a particular idea, it is not you for which they would have affection, or you which they have accepted, but rather the trappings, conceptual or otherwise, in which you would house yourself. If you already have their approval and their affection, and it is not predicated on a particular belief, a particular idea, or a particular accomplishment, then there is nothing you can do to lose that. Do not believe because you read it in the Bible, in the Quran, in the Torah, or any other book. A book can clarify matters of belief. It can provide a context. It can provide a framework. It can provide detailed explanation of the implications of a belief. But it cannot provide the belief itself. Do not believe because you seek reward or seek to avoid punishment. When you believe an idea because you want to be rewarded, what you really believe is that you want to be rewarded. Do not believe because you seek to escape punishment, because much as when you believe for the sake of reward, you are effectively believing in evasion of punishment. And in both of these, what you are really investing in is the idea that this belief will be correlated, will be connected to the reward or the evasion of punishment. Do not believe because you think that this belief will make you a better person, or that through you it will allow other people to become better people. If there has ever been a consistent, reliable method for translating a particular idea into a particular mode of behavior or a particular mode of thought, it is yet to be discovered. Do not believe because you think that belief will impart acceptance of those around you. Much as with the issue of parents and their approval, when acceptance is predicated on espousing a particular belief, mouthing a particular set of words, it is not you that has been accepted. It is not you that has won approval, but rather it is your ability to wear that which others would thrust upon you, which has met approval. In this way you are less accepted as a person, less accepted as an individual, than you are accepted as a coat rack, a handy piece of furniture onto which things desirable may be placed. And to the skeptic, do not disbelieve because you think that disbelieving will either impart a greater degree of intelligence or necessarily remove an impediment to your thought. For every example of clear and rational genius that has developed in the absence of belief, there are others that have developed in its presence. More to the point, a conviction or absence of conviction has little implication on processes. And when we are talking about intelligence, when we are concerned with the free operation of the mind, we are far less concerned with the conclusions that that mind produces than we are concerned with its capacity to produce conclusions. Do not disbelieve because a particular idea strikes you as ridiculous or impossible to sustain rationally. Everyday, complicated, explicable, and transparent, and most importantly, transparently consistent processes are producing apparently ridiculous conclusions. Conclusions apparently ridiculous to those who are not familiar with the underlying mechanisms by which these conclusions are produced. Consider also the incredible complexity with which the human mind produces relatively simple, relatively commonplace conclusions. And for every person who has come to a specific conclusion or a specific framework of belief by mere importation, I believe this because my parents said so, I believe this because society said so. There have been others who came to very similar conclusions through much more complicated and internally consistent methods. Do not disbelieve because you think that the subject of belief is beyond relevance. The totality of knowledge necessary for us to absolutely discern that which is relevant from that which is not is simply not possible, not within our capacity. However narrowly we define our range of investigation, we will find that there are things outside it which act within it, which are relevant in a causal fashion. There are no closed systems, and in order for us to intelligently, rationally say that a thing is not relevant, we have to be able to put it outside of a closed system, and therein say that it is not relevant to that closed system. Do not disbelieve because a given belief has given rise in our history to abominable behavior. Again, we cannot consistently correlate a specific idea and specific human action. Mahatma Gandhi stated that his conviction in the tenets of Hinduism were of primary influence in his actions and in his social justice work. Similarly, the papal authority of medieval Europe used the tenets of Christianity as justification for the Crusades. Both more immediate and I think more illustrative, the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh used the tenets of Buddhism as the foundation for his social justice work in Vietnam, in which he was primarily concerned with ending the American occupation and the war between the communists and the non-communists within Vietnam. Those same tenets of Buddhism were used as justification by those who forced him into exile and sought to take his life when he sought to re-enter the country. To this day, in Vietnam, Buddhist kills non-Buddhist, non-Buddhist kills Buddhist, and Buddhist kills Buddhist, all believing that their conviction in Buddhism, communism, atheism provide justification for their actions. And, at the same time, Buddhist, non-Buddhist, are also engaged in the peace process, believing that their convictions provide justification for their actions in trying to end the war. As there are individuals who are convinced that their beliefs necessitate the pulling of a trigger, there are individuals who believe that their beliefs necessitate putting down the gun. As such, we cannot use these events, these occasions of human incident, as justification for either the acceptance or rejection of a given belief. Ultimately, belief or non-belief comes down to a choice. Both credulity and criticism are individual operations of will. More importantly, they are operations of the will of the individual. I find it curious and perhaps to a degree unsettling that in addressing concepts of individual conviction or individual lack of conviction, we generally address every subject that can be even remotely correlated to that belief, except the power of individual conviction, except the power of individual choice. Whether it is the man or woman who seeks to be a useful, willing servant of God, or the man or woman who seeks to be a ruggedly self-defining individual, our engagement or disengagement in the process of belief must be our choice, and we must recognize it as such for it to have meaning, for it to have value. So, believe or disbelieve, but recognize both the power and the responsibility imparted in that statement, and be diligent, endlessly diligent, in identifying the ways in which you would scapegoat, the ways in which you would shuck off the power of your individual choice onto some other influence or factor. whether you wish to be a willing disciple, or an intellect with no bounds and with no appeal to higher authority. The choice must be yours for you to be truly either. So, choose. And simply choose.